I just released the dumbest Lightroom preset ever. Not even a preset, more like a tool. You shouldn't buy this one from me, you should watch this video and create your own version and save the money to buy other tools on my website that are way more useful and arguably way more complicated to replicate. What I wanted was a way to see my photo in Lightroom while editing in black and white so I can take better decisions based on just the luminance values and not be influenced by color contrast, or the amount of saturation in the image. And inside Lightroom, we have a lot of ways to do just that. Kind of. You could very well just press the letter V on your keyboard and Lightroom will switch to black and white. This is not what I wanted for a simple reason. Let's say that I disable this and I'm playing with the luminance values in the HSL panel. I'm gonna do something extreme just for purpose of demonstration, so I'll turn black the first 3 sliders. Now, when I press V on the keyboard to get the black and white version, Lightroom will disregard whatever settings I had in the HSL panel already and give me a resetted version of the luminance value. This is not good, so I can't use that to toggle saturation on or off. Another option would be to come in here and drop the saturation to -100. This is nice, but I can't make a preset that would reset this to the previous value that I had in here. So if I wanted to make a preset that would drop the saturation to -100, this wouldn't work because I couldn't make a preset that would return the saturation value back to whatever settings it was before toggling this on. So I decided to put it in a mask. And that's what my new preset is about. It's called Visual Helper, and when I click on it, it's creating a mask that is covering the entire image with a linear gradient, and it has the saturation set to -100 and the amount set to 200. I'll explain that one in a bit. And I also have the Visual Helper off, which will just disable the mask. Pretty easy and pretty smooth. And now let me show you how I use this preset. I purposely partially edited this photo, so there is a lot of color contrast between the jacket and the background. All this blue is contrasting with the red and giving the impression that the photo has a lot of contrast. But with my Visual Helper on, I can see there is not a lot of tonal difference, and a lot of that contrast was based just on colors. So I can come in here and tweak my radial gradient mask that is adding a bit of light back into the background and create more contrast behind my jacket, so I stand out much better in this photo right here. This was a simple example. Another way this is useful is for skin processing. I know a lot of people like to do that in Photoshop, but I am a bit of a purist when it comes to Lightroom, so I can toggle the Visual Helper on and zoom in here to see all the stuff that's standing out, like these highlights in my beard, without having color influence my perception of the photo. This is a trick that a lot of retouchers use while dodging and burning. I'm not gonna do dodge and burn inside of Lightroom, but maybe you could. Let me show you one more example before I show you the limitations of this method. Right here, my genius brain decided that it was a good idea to wear yellow in a green forest, and those two tones are really close to each other on the color wheel, and also pose with my dark hair against the shadow of the forest. And that created a situation where me as the subject and the background were basically blending in the image. I don't want that, so let's turn the Visual Helper on and create a background mask and add some separation between the subject and the forest. I'm gonna intersect this one with a radial gradient, make something big and soft because I don't want it to stand out. And now I can come in here and do just the tiniest bit of separation behind my head and maybe raise the shadows just a tad as well. And now with the Visual Helper off, you can see that there is just a tiny bit more subject separation, but there's a bit of problem with the color, and I'm also going to drop the saturation and increase the tint of that specific area that we just targeted. Now let's circle back to the limitations of this method. I cannot change the way Lightroom operates, so it's not perfect. First of all, Lightroom most probably considers the basic adjustments that we have right here. Then it's taking into account our mask. Moving on, it's considering the curves and HSL. Here we can have color grading. And because our mask is right here, if we inject some colors in this step over here or here, what happens is that Lightroom will actually show color on top of our mask. So let's enable it and let me demonstrate. Let's say that I'm tagging on the grain curve, and you can see that even though I have the Visual Helper on, the photo is turning green. And the same thing happens if I start injecting color with my color grading wheels. Again, this is a limitation of Lightroom, and there's nothing I can do about it. But as a cool party trick, you can see that luminance changes as well when you tag on the vibrance slider. I bet you wouldn't expect that. And there's one more thing that could actually add color on top of your mask. Let's say that mask number 1 here has some saturation, and I'm gonna push the blue pretty hard on this one. If my mask over here wouldn't be to 200% amount, we would start to see the blue coming through, because in here we're adding saturation, and in here we're just subtracting 100. So if it starts with like a neutral value, let's imagine it starts with 0 normal saturation, we add 30 and then we subtract 100, it's going to be basically minus 17. So I'm applying my mask to 200% just to make sure that all the other saturation increase that we've done with masking is not visible. So this is it with my Visual Helper. It's the dumbest tool I've put out so far. I have much better ones on my website, and you should definitely check those out before spending your money on this one. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.